Hey, computational thinking. In this video, we're going to look at how we can use named tuples to finish up our Worst Games Ever project by organizing our game titles and game years into named tuples. Now, this is sort of the final version of the code that we worked on in class. It might be a little different than the videos prior because we sort of update our code as we work through it in class. We might find better ways to do some things. So just take a look at this for a moment and make sure that your code is the same. You can pause the video and just copy this into your REPL and then start the video again when you're ready to go. Once you have this code and it's correct, you're not getting any errors, you should get an output that looks like this. And that will be the game titles from the Wikipedia page followed by the year that that game was released. As you can see, we've got this for loop here that's looping over every game title, or excuse me, every game item that we've pulled from Wikipedia. From that, it's pulling out the text using a slice. It's stripping off the white space with the strip method. And the same thing's happening with the year. We're just taking a slice of that data and storing it in game title and game year. But then we're not really doing anything with that information. We're just kind of letting it float off into the ether, and all we're doing is printing it. So instead of doing that, we're going to create a named tuple to keep track of all of our games and the years they were released. Notice that at the top I've already imported named tuple from collections, so you'll want to do that too. And I'm going to call my named tuple a game. I'll mirror that name right here. And then all I'm interested in as far as data is the title and the year. And then down here, notice on line 15 I've got an empty list. We're going to fill this up with the named tuples. So here what I need to do is create an instance of my named tuple. I'll simply do the following. New game is game, and then title will be game title. That's this variable right here being stored as the title attribute for my game. And then the year will be game year. Same exact idea. And then what do I want to do with new game? Well, I want to append it to my list of all the games. So we'll say new game.append, oops, backwards, all games.append. New game. All right, I'll run my code, and nothing's really going to happen here because there's no code being printed out. But then if I say all games and check what's in this list, you'll see that I have a bunch of named tuples. In fact, we can just say for game and all games and maybe see it a little more clearly. We'll print off the game, and there you go. So now we have a series of named tuples. And what's convenient about that is if I run this loop again and instead I want to print game.title, I can do that. And if I want to, for example, create a dictionary where all of these games are sorted into lists based on what year they were released, I can actually take advantage of another cool tool from the collections library called a default dictionary. And I'll make that in this way. If you want to learn more about this, you can check out the documentation or look for some resources online. I'm not going to go into the default dictionary, I just wanted to show it to you. So we'll say for game and year in all games, because this is going to unpack our tuple. All right, this is going to be title, this will be year. So we're going to create a default dictionary where we have de year .append game. All right, and so now I think we're all set. We'll run our code again. Okay, and we see that we filled up this default dict called DE with a bunch of stuff. To make it a little more clear, we can say for thing or for item, sure, in DE, print item. That's not what we want, that's just printing the key. So let's do it this way. This way we'll say for key in DE or key value. de.items, print key, print value. Let's see how that looks. No, that's still kind of busted looking. Okay, so there's our default dictionary. You can see that a year key is mapped to a value of a list containing all the games that were released in 1982. So that's pretty cool. 2 lines of code to get that all sorted out is pretty amazing. So thank you, default dictionaries. If we want to see this data a little more clearly, we can write just a bit more code. We could say for key in D dot keys, we can then print the key, and then we would say for value in de.get key, print value. And that gives us an organized list of all the games by year. So that's the Worst Games Ever project. We finished it up. We learned quite a bit of stuff about Beautiful Soup. We recalled slices from our prior knowledge. We learned how to isolate elements and use the find all method from Beautiful Soup. And we learned a little bit about named tuples as a method of storing data. What you should do at this point, after you finish this code, is think about how you could use Beautiful Soup for something that you care about. What resources on the web would you want to pull down data from and analyze? Because that's going to be an option for one of your final projects for the class.